The European Union, a coalition of member states, is home to an impressive 447 million people and stands as the world's third largest economy, surpassed only by China and the United States. Within the EU, 20 countries have adopted the euro as their currency, which has risen to become the second most widely held reserve currency. Remarkably, the euro's holdings are roughly equivalent to the sum of all other foreign currency reserves. The euro's influence extends beyond the borders of the EU, with 6 additional countries and approximately 12 autonomous regions worldwide utilizing the currency, despite not being EU members and lacking control over monetary policy decisions. While the region's economic significance is undeniable, it is not without its share of challenges. Beneath the facade of prosperity lies a disconcerting truth. Europe's economy is not merely faltering, it is in the throes of a full-fledged crisis. Although Europe has long been lauded for its robust economies and high standards of living, recent years have painted a different picture. The continent, once renowned for its formidable trade blocs and economic alliances, now grapples with a multitude of economic tribulations that threaten to erode its global standing. One of the most striking indicators of Europe's economic plight is the precipitous decline in growth rates across several of its key economies. In marked contrast to the thriving economies of Asia and North America, nations such as Germany, France, and Italy are experiencing anemic or even negative growth. Yet beneath this veneer of success lies a troubling reality. Europe's economy is not just stumbling, it's in a full-blown crisis. While it is true that Europe has long been celebrated for its robust economies and high standards of living, recent years tell a different story. The continent, known for its powerful trade blocs and economic alliances, now faces a litany of economic troubles that could undermine its position on the world stage. One of the most glaring indicators of Europe's economic distress is the stark decline in growth rates across several of its key economies. In stark contrast to burgeoning economies in Asia and North America, countries like Germany, France, and Italy are experiencing sluggish or even negative growth. For instance, the German average annual GDP growth rate, traditionally the powerhouse of Europe, grew by 1.26% over the last 13 years, while the US average annual GDP surged by 2.04% over the same period. This stagnation is not a result of a lack of resources or capabilities, but rather a series of policy missteps and external economic pressures that have cornered Europe into a state of inertia. The implementation of the European Union's stringent regulatory measures, particularly in digital and environmental sectors, has been a double-edged sword. On one hand, these regulations aim to spearhead a sustainable future in digital equity. On the other, they have stifled innovation and burdened businesses with heavy compliance costs. Take, for example, the European Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, which imposes taxes on carbon-intensive products imported into the EU. While intended to combat climate change, it has also been criticized for reducing trade openness, potentially decreasing GDP per capita by 1.6% annually over a 5-year period if fully implemented. Moreover, the leadership of Ursula von der Leyen at the European Commission has been marked by high ambitions but questionable outcomes. Her tenure has seen the launch of a costly Green New Deal and a €800 billion COVID recovery fund, financed through unprecedented levels of borrowing. However, these initiatives have not yet yielded the expected economic revival. Instead, they have led to enormous financial commitments without a corresponding boost in economic performance. Critics argue that von der Leyen's policies, especially her confrontational stance on trade relations with China, could potentially lead to a trade war, further complicating the economic landscape. Her administration's focus on stringent regulations and environmental reforms, while commendable for their foresight, have not been balanced with the needs of a rapidly changing global economy. The consequences of these economic strategies are visible on the ground. Europe's industrial sectors, particularly automotive and manufacturing, have struggled to compete globally. The shift towards aggressive environmental policies, although progressive, has made European products more expensive and less competitive compared to non-European markets, where such regulations are more lax. As Europe grapples with these economic challenges, the path forward is fraught with difficult choices. The continent's leaders must find a balance between maintaining their commitment to progressive policies and fostering an environment where businesses can thrive. This may require a re-evaluation of existing regulations, a recalibration of economic priorities, and a more nuanced approach to international trade. The economic crisis in Europe serves as a cautionary tale of how policy overreach and lack of flexibility can stifle growth. It underscores the need for economic policies that are not only visionary but also pragmatic, capable of adapting to the complex dynamics of the global economy. As Europe stands at this economic crossroads, the decisions made today will undoubtedly shape its future for decades to come. It's a moment for bold thinking and strategic action, lest the continent fall further behind in the ever-evolving economic race. The challenges faced by Europe's economy are undoubtedly severe, but they are not insurmountable. The continent is rich in history, culture, and technological advancement, all of which can be leveraged to redirect and regenerate its economic trajectory. To embark on this path of revitalization, European leaders and policymakers need to embrace flexibility, innovation, and a renewed commitment to economic integration that prioritizes growth and stability. One of the first steps towards economic recovery is rethinking the regulatory framework that governs the European market. Current regulations, particularly in the technology and environmental sectors, while well-meaning, often impose burdensome costs on businesses and stifle innovation. The European Union needs to streamline these regulations to make them less cumbersome and more conducive to entrepreneurial activities. Simplifying the bureaucratic processes and reducing red tape will provide a much-needed boost to startups and established businesses alike, fostering an environment where innovation can thrive. Digital transformation presents a monumental opportunity for economic growth in Europe. The continent has already made significant strides in this area, but there is still a vast potential to be tapped. Investing in digital infrastructure such as high-speed internet across all regions and promoting digital literacy and skills will be crucial. Additionally, supporting the digital transition of traditional industries can lead to increased productivity and competitiveness. The European digital strategy needs to be aggressively pursued, with a focus on supporting sectors like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and big data. These are areas where Europe can potentially lead globally, provided it nurtures a regulatory environment that encourages rather than inhibits technological innovation. Europe must also look outward and strengthen its trade relationships. The confrontational stance towards major trading partners like China may need to be recalibrated towards more diplomatic engagement. Building stronger economic ties through fair and mutually beneficial trade agreements can open new markets for European goods and services. This approach will not only help in economic recovery but also in restoring Europe's position in the global economic order. Moreover, the EU should continue to work on internal market deepening, including the banking union and the capital markets union, to improve the free movement of capital across the continent. While Europe's commitment to sustainability is commendable, the approach must be balanced with the economic realities facing its citizens and businesses. Transitioning to a green economy should be pursued in a manner that supports job creation and economic growth. This includes investing in green technologies and renewable energy, which can also lead to new industries and innovations. Additionally, social policies need to be integrated with economic policies to ensure that growth is inclusive and benefits all segments of society. Reducing inequality and ensuring that no region is left behind in the economic recovery process will be vital for social cohesion and political stability. Investing in education and workforce development will be crucial for securing Europe's economic future. A well-educated workforce is more adaptable and can contribute more effectively to an innovative and productive economy. Emphasis should be placed on STEM education, but also on lifelong learning and reskilling programs, particularly for older workers who may find themselves displaced by technological changes. Additionally, education systems should be aligned with future market needs, ensuring that the skills taught are those required in an increasingly digital and globalized job market. As Europe stands at a critical juncture, the choices made now will determine its future economic landscape. By embracing a more flexible regulatory environment, leveraging digital transformation, enhancing global trade relationships, focusing on sustainable growth, and investing in education, Europe can not only overcome its current economic challenges but also lay the foundation for a prosperous and resilient economic future. In essence, Europe must not shy away from the significant reforms needed to revive its economy. It's a time for bold decisions and innovative thinking, with a clear focus on long-term sustainability and inclusive growth. With the right strategies in place, Europe can once again position itself as a global economic leader, capable of facing the challenges of the 21st century with confidence and foresight.